Hey everyone, it's Peter Kerr from Daydream Nation. Look, I've got back. Joe B, how is it going?
Everything's going really well. Thanks for having me on, Peter.
Fantastic to have you back on, mate.
Yeah.
And this is a different sort of show that we're doing today. I have never heard a Manowar album. It's really inconceivable that I love my metal, but sometimes there are bands that they just pass you by. And you have assigned me a task to listen to Manowar battle hymns. So today I'm going to be like a first time listener. We'll go through the songs and it'll be an opportunity to talk about the late, great Ross the Boss and maybe your
Yeah.
experiences with Manowar, the catalogue. Maybe we could throw in a bit of the Dictators. So
Oh, for
before we get
sure. Yeah.
before we get stuck into the album, tell me about your encounters with Manowar. How did you first come across this
Well,
band?
it all starts back with the Dictators. So I had Manifest Destiny, and then I bought the rest of their catalog, but that's still a favorite album of mine.
Yep.
People call it punk, but I think it's New York hard rock. I don't think it's not too dissimilar from Twisted Sister's early work. In fact, Mark the Animal Mendoza was the bass player on that album, who eventually joined Twisted Sister. So Ross the Boss is a great guitarist. He was in Dictators, and then he goes to the Dictators disbands, and he goes to France to join a band called Shaking Street. And they had a few albums out, but the one they had, there's a song called Susie Wong that I think is great. French band. He just randomly joined this band. And then by happenstance, they opened up for Black Sabbath on the Heaven and Hell tour in Europe. So the Geezer Butler's bass tech was Joey DeMeo, who turned out to be, he's probably a better bass player than Geezer, but we'll get to that as well. They start talking, and they're like, hey, let's start a band. And they start Manowar. Now, how I discovered them was through Kerrang magazine, which I read religiously. And I find out that, okay, this great guitarist from the Dictators is joining forces with this bass player, and I got to check this out. And to be honest with you, I think Manowar underachieves for the amount of talent that was in that band. There still is in that band. Now, Ross the Boss, I think, was kicked out by Joey DeMeo late 2000s. But you have a great guitar player, a phenomenal bassist, a phenomenal drummer, and a phenomenal singer. And the songs, to me, are fairly average. Now, Battle Hymns is probably their strongest catalog, strongest album from start to finish. That's their first one. But they would have some great songs like Fighting the World, which came later. All Men Play on 10. I mean, but it kind of, I don't know. Let's get into it and get your take on it. It's
Yeah.
great that yeah, but no, rest in peace, Ross the Boss, because as a guitar player, he's so underappreciated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, my awareness of Manowar was through Kerrang and a lot of the metalheads that I used to go to gigs because I used to see a lot of the Manowar back patches, where people wear their battle jackets and they proudly show the Manowar, and you have this picture of the four of them in swords and sorcery sort of gear. And to me, it was a little bit Spinal Tap. It was like on the
It
wrong
was,
side
yeah.
of
Some of
parody.
those album covers, man, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Um,
some of the songs. I
yeah,
mean, I'm not a prude, and I like songs about partying and chicks and stuff, but
yeah,
some of them cross the line even at that time.
yeah.
Um,
So, but that
yeah,
that was the
and
thing that sort of scared me from even sampling any of their albums. I thought
another
it was
interesting
parodying.
thing, interesting thing before we get into the album is they're an American band, but they really didn't tour the United States that much. I think they did some opening gigs for Ted Nugent in the South in the beginning, but I never had the opportunity to see them live in their prime because they got huge or very popular in Europe. I don't know about Australia, but definitely in Europe. I think they're huge in Germany. I just read they're going to do a tour, and they're like playing like the big like Munich and Berlin and Stuttgart and and Hamburg, but they're playing like towns I've never even heard of in Germany on this tour. So
Well, Europe loves
yeah,
power metal, and they're one of the cornerstones of power metal. So you can sort of understand it. It's not American heavy metal in any shape or form, although
right.
there are elements on this album that are kind of American heavy metal, and I'll talk about. So yeah, why don't we get stuck into the album?
Yes.
So I'll start off with my impression, and then you can go in from there. So the first song is Deftone. So you've got the
Yeah.
motorcycles revving up. The first thing I hear is it's a really primal, garagey production. The drums are very primal. You've got a lot of cowbell, and you've got this operatic vocals. And the first thing I hear, and it's just weird, and maybe I'm really off kilter, is that it's like a very aggressive, garagey version of Blue Oyster Cult. Am I a little bit
I
off
can
track here?
no, because there's that New York influence. There's Blue Oyster Cult. There's the Dictators. There's early Twisted Sister. It's all yeah. No, you're 100% correct there. Now, in my opinion, I mean Blue Oyster Cult. I mean they just played a gig here where I live. Believe it or not, not too far from here, and Buck Dharma can still shred. But I think the musicianship is several notches higher than Blue Oyster Cult. But I think no, you're definitely correct. There's that New York East Coast um, power metal or heavy metal. You know, you got to exclude Anthrax from that because Anthrax was thrash. But yeah, no, I believe you're correct there.
Yeah, but it's definitely the drums to me. The drum sound all the way through this album is very garagey. So
Well, it's
it
self-produced,
mm,
and as one of their later songs, "All Men Play on 10," I think that's what they went for. And so, but you know what else? This song and we'll get to another song on there. Shell Shock. It's borderline. They call it stolen valor, where guys say they're in the military but they never served. And some of these lyrics, you know, Eric Adams is singing about being in Nam, and I think that in a way crosses the line for me as well. I mean, I get it, but you're not Rambo. So it's don't get me wrong. I think the song is really good, but
well,
the lyrics, go on.
yeah, well, a lot of people say that like you've got Spinal Tap. Sorry, I'm going to bring it in. You've got
Yeah,
Spinal Tap, and that's parody band. And a lot of the metal fans that don't like this band joke that Manowar just take themselves too seriously, and that's the thing that has actually turned them off. So discuss. Do you think that
yeah,
maybe
no,
they're too po-faced serious? It's not tongue in
yeah.
cheek. If it was more tongue in cheek, and nudge, nudge, wink, wink, I think people would go along with it. But because they play it serious, it's like, oh, do they really mean what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah, and they're turning they're going full in. But you know, and this album has some strong songs on it. Don't get me wrong. But as you go deeper in their catalog, as I said, there's a ton of all four members of this band. They're A-level talent, but you gotta write good songs consistently, in my opinion. Now, there's good songs on this album, but I think it should be a little bit better. But yeah,
Uh,
unfortunately, they become a parody because of the album covers. There's a couple of their songs. There's one that Ross the Boss absolutely hates later in their catalog, and he says it was one of the things that caused the rift between him and Joey DeMeo. But boy, let's continue. Yeah,
me, 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 me,
yeah,
metal metal days. I like this song because there's
yes,
this fuzzy keyboard, and it reminds me of a bit of a loud John Lord, or maybe a Ken Hensley. So
right,
I think this is one of the better songs. It's got a good sing along hook. The lyrics just celebrate heavy metal, and you got the Eric Adams doing the Rob Halford, the vocal saw. Um,
yeah,
and the bass just lumbers.
yeah,
I
yeah.
like
No,
it.
it's definitely. I do too. It's a really good anthem. So I mean,
Yeah.
Death. Don't get me wrong. Death Tone, really good song. Metal Days. So this album, it's not a bad album by any means. It's
Yeah,
heavy and
it's hooky.
yeah,
I
it's
love
hooky. Yeah,
the choir with the heavy metal. You
yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
really
And
really
Eric can
catchy.
sing his ass off, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah. And
I would.
Scott Columbus, I'm telling you, this band is so absolutely A level, A plus level talented, which we'll get on into later in the with one of the solos later in the album. But go on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But Fast Taker. I hear the Rods. Remember that band, the Rods?
there's another East Coast band. Yeah,
Yes,
no,
I hear a lot of the
there's
Rods in there.
definitely yeah, there's definitely that taste in there for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's got really unrelenting aggression on this track, and there's this really dirty blues guitar line. So if you distill it, there's a little bit of blues in this song. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and there's also the speed metal aspect on it. Is there a lot of their songs that go down that path, the speed metal?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that's their catalog, but it gets weak after a while in some of their latter albums. I hope I'm not, and I have a Manowar shirt on. If I'm ticking off Manowar fans, sorry, that's just the way I look at
Well,
it.
that's what we're all
You know,
about, mate. We just have
yeah, no,
we have
yeah.
conversation. So Shell Shock, have you? This is the song that you have a little bit of an issue with lyrically.
Well, yeah. So in Death Tone, he sings about being in Nam, and then here it's actually about being in Nam, and I don't know. I I just yeah, it's borderline. It's borderline stolen valor to me. It becomes almost comical. I mean, I get it, and this is when Rambo is out, and they're singing about it, and they're trying to relate. But are they really relating to? I mean, yeah, I have a problem with the lyrics. If Eric actually served in the military and was singing like this, I'd feel a little bit more close about it. I'm
Yeah,
not, super offended, but I
yeah,
think it's kind of cheesy. Yeah. And it's not
yeah,
a cool thing to be cheesy about.
yeah. The
Yeah.
title track. What do you think of this one? And I'll tell
I
you what
mean,
I
it's
think.
this is
Yeah,
their signature song and it's their anthem and yeah, it's I actually like the previous three songs. Well, I like Fast Taker and Metal Days. I probably like Manowar better than Shell Shock. But Manowar's no, it's a very good song. Very good
yeah.
song.
I think it's their
Yeah.
mission. It's their mission statement, isn't it?
Yes.
It's all about them, and it's Gallop Rock. You like on a
Yes.
horse.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
and I hear Rob Halford. He's got that Rob Halford
Yes.
scream. So
Yeah. They really didn't tour the States.
right,
And
right,
I'm like, I had to have seen them because I saw everybody, and everybody came through Chicago, whether it was the giant arenas or the clubs like the Metro or the mid-sized like the Aragon. I saw everybody, like Motorhead. I saw Saxon, early Megadeth. I mean, and no, I saw Raven. I saw Metallica open up for Raven. Now I might be spending thousands of dollars to see him at the Sphere. It's crazy. I paid $10 for that show. But anyway, no, they never came through. And I was checking and checking and checking. I'm like, I never saw them.
yeah.
I would think they would play a gig at the Aragon or at Metro, and no, no.
Another
In
thing
Chicago,
I
I'm talking Chicago. So yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Another thing I want to talk to you about is they re-recorded this album. What are your views on that?
I think that stuff sucks. And it's kind of it's I don't know what his issue is. I know Ross the Boss did a really good interview with another YouTube channel out there. I'm blanking on the name, but I have to watch it more extensively because it gets kind of there's like four guys doing the interview and it gets kind of bogged down. But I would really like to know why there was such animosity and hatred towards the two guys that started the band. Because you're gonna that's like a Sharon Osbourne move, where you erase the original tracks. So
Yeah, I'm dead against that. Even
yeah,
if there's a contractual, I want to own the rights. I don't think you should
right.
do that because it's never as good.
No,
I don't care what you
no,
say. I don't think you can ever improve because it's a moment in time. You're
Yeah.
capturing something. So, yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I've heard that this band is quite difficult. They're a little bit prickly, a little bit difficult, and just on based on the interviews that I've seen, had a bit of a reputation. Is that something that you've picked up as well?
Yes, definitely. That's, yeah. Yeah, that's what I've read the same things you've read. But then again, once Ross the Boss was out of the band, I really checked out. There's some bands where you check out, but you're still a completist and buy the catalog.
Hmm.
When Ross the Boss was gone, I was like really checked out. And then they had some really bad press. I don't even want to bring it up, but it went under the radar because it's Man of War. But one of their guitar players, he's in jail. He's in prison, rightfully so. So I was like, I don't want anything to do with that. So yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Dark Avenger. Now, tell me, how did they get Orson Welles?
That's crazy, right? And I'm trying. They, how did they get Orson Welles? Um, I remember reading about that. I think I read about that in Kerrang. So the executive producer contacted Orson Welles' management, and he said he'd do it, and he did the narration tracks. Yeah,
That that's bizarre. So
yeah, and then they would.
this little known metal band, and I'm talking about in the world of music, reaches
Right.
out to the guy who directed Citizen Kane, and yeah, I'll do it. That's just whack.
Well, maybe this. It says their executive producer is Bob Curry, but he's not listed as a producer. Maybe he had some pull in Hollywood. I don't know. But yeah, it's pretty cool he has him in there.
Yeah,
That being said, I those this song and the last song really they just really bogged down. And Manowar becomes infamous for this in some of their latter albums where the songs are just so long and tedious and trying to tell this epic story and it's like, dude, you're not Rush. It's like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I thought I was going to have a contrarian view. This is
yeah.
really a bit on the cheese. It's a bit
Yes, it is.
whiffy. The
Yeah,
lyrics are a bit whiffy, and to me, it's planting the seed of all the things I hate about power metal. So power
yeah,
metal can sit on the right side of the ledger or the wrong side. So, you have Richie Blackmore's Rainbow Rising, which was magnificent. It created power metal. It's got to be symphonic. But out of that, there were a lot of um, albums or music that came out of that created power metal that were just completely overblown, bombastic, and just yeah, this I think unfortunately falls
yeah. I mean, you
within it.
can't. As you know, Stargazers, probably my top five songs. Um, and you can't duplicate that. And Kashmir, that's not power metal, but it's that epic tune. You can't duplicate that. And bands have tried with both of those and miserably failed. Do your own
Yeah,
thing. It has to
I,
become
I
organic.
I think because the lyrics are so whiffy on this song, if the lyrics were better, you could probably go on the journey. But because they're so, it's so trite. Yeah, I find this really heavy going. William's Tale,
All right,
really,
so
he's
here's
the bass guy, right? Wow.
yeah, and
Yeah.
I have a friend who's a phenomenal bass player, and when Ross the Boss passed, I was sending him sending my friends stuff because they're like, oh, wasn't he in the Dictators? And and they weren't too familiar with Manowar, but I sent my buddy, and he's a great bass player. He plays a fretless bass with fingers, and he can play. He's like, I can't play that fast. He's like, holy cow. Williams' Tale is great. And this is what you had three phenomenal musicians. One, I mean, Joey DeMeo is definitely even a step above. He's up there with Billy Sheehan and Wolfgang Van Halen, and I mean, he can shred on the bass and everything. And but I had this discussion with the same guy, my same friend. He's like, Steve Vai is my favorite guitar player, and I said, yeah, he's great, but he can't write a song. you know, and I appreciate great songwriting over phenomenal musicianship. But this is, I mean, this is cool to listen to. It's just I don't know too many bass players that can play this fast.
Yeah, absolutely
Yeah,
phenomenal. And
yeah,
then we go into Battle Hymn, and unfortunately for me, it's still in the sludgy power
very much
metal.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. Yeah.
Um, and a lot of fans cite this as the greatest Manowar song ever. So to me, I guess it's what you hear, you know.
No, I can't agree with that. So I think people, I don't want to sound like we're dancing on Ross the Boss's grave because I'm a huge fan of Ross the Boss and he's
Mm,
underappreciated. So I don't know. I would make a playlist of, like fighting the world, do fighting the world, blow your speakers, or you have Hail to England. That's actually an overblown album. What's the one song with All Men Play on 10? Put that on your playlist. Like I said, a lot of their albums after this, you have one or two great songs, and then they're skippable. They're skippable for me. And it's
yeah,
unfortunate, in the Glory Ride, that's the really bad album cover where they're in the loincloths and everything. Oh, Gloves of Metal. So here, in the Glory Ride, Gloves of Metal is a friggin' great song. That might be their best song, or that or Fighting the
yeah,
World. But Ross the Boss at his best in that band, I think, is on Into Glory Ride with that intro. But
yeah,
if you want to delve into Manowar, do that. And maybe they're one of your favorite bands, but in my
yeah.
estimation, it's a lot of talent that underachieves.
Yeah, and if I'm not wrong, I think that there was a five for the price of one compilation. You know how you get those little album compilations that you can get five CDs, for the price of one.
Yeah.
That's probably worth investigating. My opinion of Battle Hymn is that I like the side one. Side one seems more traditional metal, less rooted in their power metal excesses, which is on the cheese. So if I heard side one, I'd be wow. I'm interested in this band. It's really garagey and raw and primal. I want to hear more. But then when you flip the side over, it's like, oh, I don't know about this. So, would you
Yeah.
agree? The side one's
Oh,
probably where where
yeah.
where it's at on this album.
Most definitely. Yes. Yeah.
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 Thanks, mate, for introducing me to Manowar. This is what we do
Yeah.
on Rock Daydream Nation.
So
Joe
you
B.
want to talk a little about Ross the Boss? I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
you said you wanted to,
absolutely. Oh yeah,
if you want to,
let's
so it's interesting because the Dictators broke up and then got back together, and believe that little Steven from Bruce Springsteen's band had a part in that because he
mm,
wanted to get the whole CBGB thing
yep.
going back. So I believe there is a relationship there. But my favorite Dictators album, and I don't know, this is probably contrarian. I love Manifest Destiny. It's poppy, it's heavy. I think there's really great songs. There's some really comical lyrics that would work. Search and Destroy. When I heard that, I'm like, wow, this is a great song, and I didn't realize it was an Iggy Pop song till a little
Mm,
bit later. But I've heard other people say that they like Go Girl Crazy or Blood Brothers better. But um, I really like Manifest Destiny. And then the Shaken Street album that he's on has some really cool stuff on there. It's different. It's a avant-garde hard rock. But that's how the band formed. They were opening up for Black Sabbath on the Heaven and Hell tour in Europe. And Joey DeMeo was Geezer Butler's bass tech. So
yeah, it's amazing how things some bands sort of inform. And what about Ross the Boss? His later albums when it was just him. It was called, I think, called Ross the Boss, wasn't it?
yeah, there's some good stuff. I have to be honest, I really didn't delve that much into it. I'm
Yeah,
listening to it a little bit now, but there's good stuff in there. And
yeah.
yeah, like I've always, it's interesting because the bands he were in would never crack my top, I don't even know, top 50, but his guitar playing always stood out to me. Because like when I listen to the Dictators, I'm like, okay, these are good songs, but I'm like, wow, this guitar player is great. In fact, I always wondered why he didn't try out for Kiss when Ace left. I think that would have been a great fit, honestly. New York
Personality.
guy.
What about personality wise?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, he would have been
Hmm.
better than Vinnie Vincent, but
Well,
yeah,
that's
right.
that's a low watermark there, mate.
Yeah, yeah. But
Uh,
no, yeah, I always appreciated him as a guitar player, and he's unheralded and underrated. So rest in peace. He really brought some great riffs and leads to the table. So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. And as I said, it's one of those bands that were probably bigger than outside their homeland.
yes, for sure. Yeah, they're still
Yeah.
touring, and like I said, they're doing like a super deep tour of Germany. So, which I've never seen before, where they're playing like every village and town in Germany. Yeah.
Yeah, so they'd be probably playing Wacken and all those festivals, and
Oh, they play all those as well. Yes.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
when you listen to this album, it's built for the German. It's built for Europe. It's a very kind of European sounding album. It's well, side two, especially.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, fantastic,
Right.
mate. Always great to have you on the show. We will get you
Yes.
back. We'll talk offline just to work out our next endeavor. But look, Joe B is a friend to this channel. He's been there from day one. He will continue to be. Please
Of
tell
course.
us what you like about Manowar. I might have rocks in my head. You might throw rocks at us and say,
Yeah.
we don't. We're talking rubbish. That's okay. We love all comments, good, bad, and indifferent. Please like and subscribe to Rock Daydream Nation, and Joe and me will do shows in 2026 and beyond. All the best and cheers. See ya.
Thanks,
Bye.
Peter.
Thank you.